All right, man. The great Greg Hobbs,
What's up?
my brother, my friend, my mentor. We've worked together for quite a bit, a long time,
A long time,
and you've always been there for me, and I've always tried to be there for you.
of course.
And we've gone through a lot, and I mean,
Yeah,
just simply you telling me your story, man. It's insane, and I'm glad to hear that you're here. I'm glad not to hear, but I'm glad to see that you're here with me, and thank you for coming on my podcast with me. I know it's nothing big, but I hope some people out there can hear it and learn something,
yeah, of
from
course.
our mistakes or not mistakes, but our life and our journey in life.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Thanks for having me. And nothing's too small when something so big is a problem out there. And what we'll talk about this evening is mental health and suicide attempts and warning signs, depression, anxiety, anything really, just to put the message out there because we all struggle with some sort of thoughts of, disappointment and adversity and hard times, and especially right now with this pandemic, mental health is affected in many ways that people don't talk about enough, and unfortunately, it's hitting the youth because in school, people, can't afford to stay at home from work with their kids, and a lot of young youths are turning to suicide attempts, and some of them, at a high rate, are passing away, and it's unfortunate, So my goal is to help reach out to as many people as I can, and help educate those parents, and like I was saying earlier. Just yesterday, I saw one of my mutual friends on Facebook talk about wanting to die, and I've seen a few of it the past couple months since I've been out, and I share my story and talk with them and make sure that they're okay and get help. So, yeah, mental health is a big, big thing right now, and it's changed my life forever physically, So.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy, man, because you do see all these things every day, and we don't think about it. I've been through depression. You have a lot of people out there have had these thoughts and have had these episodes or situations in life, and it's very, very sad and bad to hear. And I always try to reach out as well because I've been in that situation where I'm like, man, like, why am I even still here? But luckily, I talked to a therapist, went through counseling myself. People don't know that about me. Now they will, but it's okay. It's okay to talk about it.
Absolutely. Therapy is it's not for the weak. You're definitely strong going through it, and all it can do is help you collect things that you may not have necessarily had thought about before. It's very important to talk to somebody, family, friend, or a therapist, but it's also important, too, if somebody comes to you, that you don't ignore the signs, because it happened to me. People, family, friends ignored, Some people had judgment, and, you just carry that weight forward. And once a person gets too dark into their thoughts, or they're gone, basically, just in the blink of an eye, something so fast can happen and change your life forever. And it's important that we are able to, listen and respond in a timely manner to those that matter most. And sometimes, people like myself, you may not realize it right away with your family or friends that there's something wrong because they're always positive and always the ones taking care, so just taking that time out to send a text, 2 seconds, a message, or at least a phone call, just to let your family and friends or loved ones know that you're thinking of them, and just reach out and see how they're doing. It can really, really save lives and make a big difference to people.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it's crazy because we don't see those signs. We don't see the situations, or we don't see what people are going through without them actually reaching out. For example, when my cousin took her life, she was my best friend. We were hanging out that weekend.
Yeah.
We were hanging out that weekend, and she took her life on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we had a great time. We had dinner. We were gonna hang out on Saturday, and I was giving her a hard time because she was going through like a vegan phase, and she was gonna go to a vegan festival. We were talking smack like we always did. Never saw anything crazy. Never saw her down. Never saw her upset or anything. And then Sunday, I come to find out that that situation happened. So it's like, whoa, it's crazy, man. But and I'm glad that you say what you say is just send out that one text and one quick hello, and it can change somebody's day basically.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to signs, people can be really happy, extremely apologetic, or their behaviors and physical traits may change. So always know your surroundings and of your loved ones, and anything that just stands out, red flag it. Worst case or scenario, you could be wrong, but it really matters to do that, to follow up and just take the time out of your busy lives to reach out and talk to them and see what's going on, because everybody has a struggle or some kind of war, and especially when you're talking about pain, things hurt internally and emotionally, and it's really hard mentally, it's really hard to talk about with what happened with me, and how I got to that point, because I'm normally, the guy that's positive and full of life and positive outlook, but for me, especially with COVID, having it myself, feuding with my ex, heated exchanges and, being told things and, being isolated at home when you cannot go nowhere, it's away from my family and they're everything to me. I'm always around them. And then, being, a father of the two children that I wasn't around, it was hard. And to be out of work for so long, it all collected, and, your mind just deteriorates. And, I tried to reach out to some family and a couple friends, and, not that it's anyone's fault, but, people are busy, and, it happened on Thanksgiving, and, it was a real tough day, real dark, and, the thoughts were out of anger and emotion, it just got the best of me, and there was no positive light, and it just sucked the oxygen out of me. And two things you don't want to do, well, three things really, is if you feel yourself in a situation like mine, the last thing you should do is turn to alcohol or some type of drug. I had alcohol in my system. I wasn't too far from the site, and I was battling depression, anxiety, and anger. And another thing you don't do is have a firearm with you or on you. And, just like anyone, I never thought that, what would happen next happened to me, I was overwhelmed. The last few moments of my life at that point came to a very narrow margin of opportunity where, your phone's ringing and ringing and ringing. My girl, recognized where I was, and instantly, law enforcement was on hand. But before all this was going down, what I remember is, holding the firearm to my chin, thinking this is it, that, it don't matter, replaying all the pain and the words and exchanges and all the empty emotion that I was feeling, and then I went to bowl and moved my head the last minute because, I want to live, it's something that was just like, this is it. And luckily it missed me the first time, and then, Metro was obviously there during the first shot, and I had my family member on the phone, and she was like, "Get out, talk to him," and I was like, "All right." I don't want to die or go to jail. I just had a hard day, and next thing you know, I thought the chamber was clear, and I went to put the firearm down, and I had many things in my hand, and I saw the sniper on my left and my right mirrors, and I freaked out. I was like crying and full of emotion, and some way, somehow, as I got out, the lanyard has a rope on it, and next thing you know, I'm getting out. I got shot, and I'm bleeding out, and it's the most pain I ever felt, and I instantly fell to the ground. I remember one officer and the paramedic running towards me, and all I could say is I didn't want to die, and I got kids, and I got shot by the discharge, and I was told I couldn't, and that means you're clinically dead, technically, and I was bleeding out pretty bad. I sustained lifetime change in my appearance and how I will go forward. To wake up in the hospital 2 days later to find out what happened, and when the bullet, it was a 9mm hollow point, which is something nobody wants to mess with or be on the other side. So I can reflect on the pain. It did miss my brain. It went into the side of my jaw, took out my whole lower jaw, my teeth, about a quarter of my tongue, which is, why I sound the way I sound. And it hit my artery and came out my nose. And I got at least 8 surgeries ahead of me on top of the ones I've already had. And, I'm in pain every day. And I live with the responsibility of what got me out there. And I cannot be no more apologetic to my family or friends that were affected by it. It hurt them emotionally, and I have some family members and some friends going to suicide awareness therapy to deal with the trauma that was caused by me. And I'm the type of person who, tries to clear paths for people and open up ways to help. And here I am, because of the situation that I felt, I'm responsible for my actions, but it also is not good because it hurts them too, and it hurts to know that you hurt those closest to you. Like my children were impacted, my family, my sister, it was really bad. And she was on the phone during the whole thing. And, when they were saying, stay with us, buddy, and he coded and things like that, my dad and my sister fell to the ground crying because, they're in Seattle and I'm here, and, what can they do? They can only listen at that point, and that's a call that nobody wants to be on, or, you don't want to get a call that, one of your children or family members took their own life, or, been in a car accident, because we love those that are closest to us in our hearts, of course. But, mental awareness is everything to me. In the hospital, they're like telling me, I was suicidal, and, at first I was in denial, like, although that was my initial intent, like, I would never be the type to take my life, but, when I was taken over by that darkness and that pain, that wasn't the case, My initial intent was, to not be here anymore. But to survive the incident, to follow that action, is, to me, the same thing, because I put myself there. And, I had things going against me, alcohol, anger, being upset, firearm. You know, I've had many people reach out to me after, say, "Why didn't you call me? I would have been there for you or listened to you." And not that I don't appreciate the, you know, generosity or the support. It's, you know, one of those things where you don't think about those. And you never want to bother anybody. And so, you know, what do you do? I didn't know, and I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's very important for us to check in on our family or friends, because you're never too busy to say hi, you're never too busy to say I love you, how's it going, check in on somebody, you know their goals, you know, what makes that person tick, you know, are they working on school, are they working for a promotion at a job, you know, things like that, you know. And when you detect something just by asking the right questions of those things, you know, you can kind of coach your loved one or friend through possibly what could be the next slot, you know. And unfortunately, in many children, you know, parents don't talk to their children, you know, they just tell them what to do, you know. And kids are so resilient, so bright. You know, they're very creative. They're very impressionable. And if we don't talk to our children today, and especially with, you know, no socializing in school, you know, it's all at home. And it's very hard to do. People learn different ways. And these children really don't have a lot of resources or programs available to them because, you know, parents don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. But if you just Google mental health in children or adults and mental health, Google will give you a ton of results, you know. Mm-hmm. And later on, I'll try to, you know, create this website, and I will try to create a nonprofit to reach out to families and children and churches and schools and law enforcement to help people get more resources available to them, because it's something that's very important. And you know, again, you know, with my own recent experience, Thanksgiving is literally a new holiday for me. Mm-hmm. You know, thankful to be here, grateful to be alive, you know, and it changes lives forever. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine not being here.
Same here, man. Just like I was telling you the other day, I'm like, it's so hard to hear, and it's so crazy to hear, you know, coming from you, because like I said, you've always been a mentor to me. You've always been like, this is half full. You better not see it as half empty. And when we work together, it's like, yo, what's bothering you? You would always come up to me, yo, do we need to go in the office? Like, what's going on? Let's talk it out. You know, and it's crazy, man. Like if like, and I know like it's hard to say it when you want to reach out to somebody, and our lives are so busy that either a text message would work or, hey, let me call you back. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty of that. I'm 100% guilty of that. You know, there's times that people call me and I'm like, I'm in the middle of something and I don't answer and I forget to call back, and it's crazy how much one call can change somebody's life. Like, you know, for instance, with your situation. But like I said, man, I'm glad to hear that you're here, bro. Like, you know, I love you, man, and we've been through a lot together.
Yeah, you know, I appreciate it, and you know, I love you too. But you know, we're all guilty of not reaching out to people. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you have those friends that you talk to and family members that you talk to, you know, a couple times a week. And you got people that you may care about that you talk to when you run into them. And it's like you pick up where you left off. But, I mean, if you think about it, I send out probably, I don't know, a few dozen text messages now, you know, every few days. You know, kind of like rounding up to this, what we're talking about here. Like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Mm-hmm. Let me know if you need anything. You know, it's important. You know, and you guys make the difference. And yeah, you're right. I used to look at things half full. You know, in the bright side, and I still do. You know, when I was in the hospital, I had found out that my landlord was selling the house. It was during Christmas time. Two kids and, a relationship at the time where I didn't know if it was going to last or not. I dealt with the loss of some family members, not like passing away, but like, everybody deals with these things where they're actually angry at me. So, right now I don't have the people that matter most to me there at the moment. They're there, but, I guess they're still processing and dealing with it. But in the hospital, the nursing staff and doctors were so good to me, but, they were telling me that I wouldn't talk or walk, in the time frame that I actually was able to do it. And I was motivated to get out and be able to provide for my family. And from the hospital, I was able to go online and apply for a new place temporary. And, I have a good support system. And that's important, too, is, you got to have a good support system, and it could be family, it could be friends, small circle of people you trust, and just by sending those messages, you got to get yourself a good support system. And if you realize that your thoughts are dark and, you're entertaining the possibilities of, hurting yourself or someone else, or you want to take your life and you don't think you matter, that's not necessarily the case, and that's when you reach out to that circle and you got to admit you need help. And it's okay to say, I need help, Had I reached out to everyone in my circle, I may have looked and sound different, and I wouldn't have to go through what I've been through. But I'm here, and I don't want to say I'm glad it happened to me, but if it didn't happen to me, it could happen to somebody else. And I would rather be able to be alive and talk about it so it doesn't happen to other people. There's a movie called It's a Wonderful Life. I said it with you before the interview. And actually, my aunt, who I don't talk to right now, actually referred it to me. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. And it was filmed in 1941. And there's this guy who has a brother, and he comes from a family. His name's George. And George basically, wants to have the wife and a good job. He wants to travel the world, but his dad's a banker. He comes from a small town, and he ends up taking over the family banking business because, his father passes away. And he sees that he can't leave the people of the town because, there's a greedy banker that's trying to buy everything up. But long story, short story, you would look at him. He has a wife, a house, family, nothing's wrong with him. But later on, he gets depressed because he didn't travel. He didn't do the things he wanted. And he comes into hardship, and he wants to take his life. But then there's a quirky, kind of like guardian angel that comes down to him and pretty much shows him what his life is like without being alive. And he sees his family members and friends and people that need his support, and what he was able to do for these people and not have it. And he got to see like the opposite effect of what it was like without him there. So in some way, it just goes to show that we do matter, because if we're not here, you may not say hi to that stranger that needed a warm hello or a smile, or, what you do for your occupation, how you help people, how it affects us on a minute level to a grand level you don't know. And especially our family members and loved ones. In the movie, he actually saved his brother's life when they were kids. So had he not been born, his brother would have died in that accident, and you got to kind of like wrap your mind around that every day. People, the way they drive, there's no respect these days. And I think it's very important to talk about these things ongoing, mental health, and, making sure our family members know that their lives matter and they make an impact on us. Nobody's too small, because if you think you're too small, you might want to sleep in a room when there's a mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
You know, chances are you're not going to sleep. So, you know, you gotta buzz. You know, you gotta put the buzz in your friend's ear, in your family's ear, and you gotta reach out. And if you know you have a problem and struggle, you may want to find a therapist. You know, and if you can't afford one, I can provide a number where they can help you at no charge. And
cool, man. Yeah, I'll probably take that number from you and I'll put it on, you know, on the screen or
yeah,
hear from you,
yeah,
so that people can reach out to, you know, whenever, even if you're reaching out to a stranger and they don't know you on the other side of the phone. Sometimes that's what we need, because we always think about it as like, hey, if I call you, you're my friend. Like,
yeah,
what is he going to think of me now? You know what I mean? And I know we all say, I'm not going to judge you, I'm not going to do this, but at the end of the day, like, the person that's talking to you might not feel that comfortable to a point that they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go talk to Greg, and then Greg's going to judge me. Or I'm going to go talk to Jamie, and Jamie's going to judge me. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
yeah. That's a good point. But you, in some sort of way, you know, it's better to take a chance and an opportunity to talk about it as opposed to living through it or not being here. You know, people say people that take their life is greedy, selfish. They want attention. And, you know, there's a whole series of YouTube videos where if you look up surviving suicide attempts, it's eye-opening. They're normal people. You know, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're moms, dads, teachers. And it's enlightening. You know, nobody rehearses, I want to die.
Exactly.
You know, when you grow up as a child, you know, one of the number one things is you're scared of death. You know, but causes pain, and what you struggle with internally and mentally is a disability. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way of saying anybody's disabled. It's just it disables you from responding and being positive and thinking the opposite, right? And the effect of it is you don't matter. Something unfair happened to you, or, you know, maybe you just can't see your way out of the pain. And I gotta tell you, you know, I did not see a light at that tunnel, you know, and it was a lot of pain. And, you know, I'm not a selfish person, you know, and I do like attention, of course, with good stuff, but, you know, it wasn't like, come look at me now, come give me a hug, you know. And I don't think anybody should be afraid to say, hey, I need to talk, or hey, I need help, you know. What a lot of people don't know is it doesn't necessarily mean you're crazy. You know, I might be a little crazy because of my high energy, but yeah, you're not crazy for needing help.
Yeah.
You're not crazy for needing a hug or talk. You know, what a lot of people don't know is you can go to, if you don't have anyone to talk to, or you're scared, you know, if you can find your way into an emergency room and just check in, they'll have doctors on the side that can just pull you in and do a well check and just take care of you and just listen to you.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know that because when I was in the ICU, the psych doctor, you know, they were trying to make sure I wasn't trying to hurt myself. And, you know, they told me, you could have came in here. So next time you feel depressed, come in. We'll talk to you. And so, you know, that's really important is,
oh, yeah,
you know, especially for me, like, I'm the only family member out here, you know, and I didn't want to bother nobody. But, you know, had I known that, I would have taken that up. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity. You got to Google it. I can provide the number. Get to a hospital. Let them know you need to talk. You know, there's a lot of resources to help you. So, yeah, I mean, it's important to, what do you do? There's no resources. Talk to somebody. Get some help. You can call 911. go to a hospital, go to a fire station. There's tons and tons of nonprofits out there. If you go on Facebook, there's Facebook groups. There's always somebody willing to listen. There's always somebody that cares. We do exist. And like I was saying earlier, it's mostly not rehearsed. In the hospital, I heard stories of people are like, "You're different for your kind," and I kind of like, "What do you mean, my kind?" They're like, suicide attempts, but you survived. You're a survivor. You're very lucky. It's kind of like they were prejudging. But I'm grateful to be there, and so I just learned. I couldn't talk. Because had I been able to talk at the time, I would have had some words. So I had to learn to listen and be patient, which is, I'm not very patient. But now, because of what's happened, I am. And they're like saying, people that actually go through suicide that survive. The reason why they have people watch you 24/7 is because people get angry because they're still alive, or they get really depressed that they're still alive. That's where I was trying to walk and talk and grow, but I want to live, and I definitely want to help people. People get angry at themselves. People are just mildly to severely depressed out there, and for whatever reason, and they actually are in the hospital and they try to kill themselves again.
Wow.
Yeah, and it happens. And it happens. That's why you have like a person that watches you 24/7. They have shifts, 6-hour shifts.
Oh, wow.
And
so somebody's literally...
They watch you.
Every so often come in and check on you?
They watch you, yeah. The nurses will be by routinely, frequently. But you have literally somebody sitting there in your, hallway watching you.
Oh, wow.
So at first it was kind of creepy for me because, you're trying to sleep or, I don't know. I mean, my thoughts were all over the place, but I started to learn to communicate with them. I wrote to them, talked to them, met with the chaplain a few times and started, praying, and I think this has brought me more spiritual because there's got to be a reason why I'm here. Yeah, the EMT brought me back, and then along the way of putting me back together, according to my doctor, it was a really bad bleed out. They couldn't stop the bleeding. So, and then this next surgery, it's very risky, because they got to go back in and do what's called a bone graft. And that's something that I don't really want to talk about, to a lot of people, because they got to take my tibia and part of my hip bone and reconstruct my lower jaw, blood supply, artery, before they even get teeth. And then if that's a success, they got to wire my jaw shut for another 6 to 8 weeks. And that was the most uncomfortable thing ever, and you drop a lot of weight because you can't eat. Every day, like, my nerves are so sensitive to where they get numb, or if you ever had like an itch, but I can't, I try to scratch it, but there's nothing I can do, and then it's followed up by pain, and those are just something that I have to go through. There's nothing I can do. People are like, oh, why don't you take pain medicine, or why don't you get ibuprofen? But what they don't realize is that's part of healing, is pain. And the other sensations that I can't control. So it's just it's like a roller coaster. You're holding on for dear life and just hoping the pain goes away. It can be a migraine, it can be a sharp pain, it can be, it's weird. It's like your mouth falls asleep. So, these are the after effects of what happened to me. So, if I can save anybody out there from the trouble, or at least educate save a life, you know, what do you do if you survive?
Yeah.
You know, the surgeries, the pain, the mental thinking, and the struggles, and knowing that people are hurt, you know, living through it is really tough. But just like most adversity in my life, you know, you just gotta push through it and just hope for the best and actually do your best. And literally, life has slowed down, like for me,
I bet.
because you have to learn to take it day by day, foot in front of the other foot, and just embrace whatever it is, good or bad, you know. And it's hard, you know. It's hard, you know. I recently went in on an interview for a real estate position, and it was awkward because listen to me, you know. I can hide behind a mask. I can dress nice, you know. And you see all these people in nice clothes and nice cars, and it's like they're not gonna hire me.
Because at the end of the day, they don't know what's going on the other side of the story, though.
Yeah, but I know. It affects me confident-wise.
Of course.
You know, because I don't look or sound the way I did. But I got the job.
Nice.
You know, I got the internship. I'm learning from, and I'm going to school, too. So it just goes to show that you're human, you know. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all look different, sound different. But just taking that time to show love to people, even if you don't know them, you know, it can really save a life. And it can really brighten somebody's day, you know. And if you're a parent or an aunt and uncle or grandma or grandparent or anybody, really, reach out to the kids in your family and just make sure that they know you care. And just let them know that they're okay. And, you know, they're normal. You know, kids are, you know, very, like I said earlier, very impressionable. You know, so if you're nervous as an adult, the child's probably going to be nervous. If you don't talk to them and let them know that things are normal, like for my children, they look at me like they did before I even had the accident, because for me, this is normal now, as I'm trying to get back to a baseline. You know, but they don't focus on what I look like and how I sound. It's kind of like we leave where we left off, you know. So if it's normal to you, it's normal to them. But you know, you gotta take the time to do a little investigation, talk to your family, talk to the children, and just, you know, let them know you care. And you
just gotta reach out to somebody.
Yeah, and if you're actually somebody like me, or you know, yourself, or somebody, especially, you know, the children, teenagers, or adults, you know, or even seniors. You know, people don't talk about that. But
especially right now, where they can't, you know, or when the whole COVID started and people couldn't, you know, they couldn't visit their own family and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, overdose is a big deal. You know, or people not taking their medication for like diabetes, drinking alcohol. My grandfather, 54, died. His heart blew up. And the cost of that was his diabetes. You know, medication was scotch. You know, who knows what he was thinking. But that was an overdose.
Yeah.
My mom, you know, alcoholic. And, you know, her heart gave out because of all the alcohol. That's one reason why I don't really drink a lot of alcohol, you know. And I'm sorry about your cousin, you know. I had a coworker a few years back commit suicide, but he actually went through 3 attempts to finally do it on the 4th time.
Oh wow! And it's like I was saying earlier, man, because it's so. A lot of cultures see it as a taboo situations. Like, especially I can talk from, you know, my culture being Hispanic. You know, a lot of people in the Hispanic community are like, no, you know, you just keep that to yourself. Especially if you're a male in the Hispanic community, you know, you can be like, hey, Dad, I want to talk about this. Your dad's gonna be like, no, mijo, like, you man up. You know what I mean? And that's bad. Because we don't reach out. We don't talk about what's going on inside. And our brains are very powerful, man.
Yeah,
They're
they
very,
are.
very powerful, and they can either make you or break you.
Oh yeah, and your mind will trick you too.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and speaking of cultures or gender, you know, preference, we live in a world where we have to be equal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not one race or one gender above the other.
Of course, I
You
agree
know,
with you.
every day, women get raped, sexually harassed, but men do too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or you know, you got children who struggle with their identities, you know, or racial,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's sad because people are vibrant and beautiful, and like you say, the mind is very powerful. But the moment your mind switches to "I don't matter,"
It just makes everything
or
dark.
I don't belong, or something's wrong with me because you know they're you know maybe they preference some you know something different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and what I mean by that is there's a diversity of things here, income, where we come from, race, homosexuality, you know, or disadvantage or advantage, you know. People are bullied for whatever reason. You know, I was bullied growing up. Got my ass kicked, going home crying to my dad, like, you know, being bullied. And he goes, go back out there. And I'm like, I'm terrified. Why would I go back out there? You face your fear,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we're not brought up that way no more.
Exactly. And the crazy thing that you say that about, bullying and stuff like that, now these days everybody has Instagram or an iPhone and Android, and they have social media, and I want to look like, whoever's my idol on social media.
Yeah.
And social media is fake. You know what I mean? It's not real life. It's fake. People post what they want you to see. Obviously, the celebrity's not going to show you that they're struggling as well.
Right.
We all go through mental problems. It's the Kanye West or Kim Kardashian. They're not going to show you the arguments. They're not going to show you the sad life, the sad stuff. So
Yeah.
we all go through it, man.
True. It's one of those things where, I mean, how many celebrities die because of overdose?
100%.
Football players, baseball players, accidents, suicides. I mean, the big one that stands out to me is Robin Williams.
100%.
That guy would not take a movie role unless the studio and the production company hired homeless people to do certain tasks or assistance or
Really?
background. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So he was all about community,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a big heart. And, I mean, you just look at that guy and he's doing some character impersonation or trying to make somebody laugh. But,
Mm-hmm.
you got to think if it can happen to him, like it happened to me, it can happen to you. It can happen to them. And, it's hard to detect. And, like I said, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
There's only two outcomes. You're either going to die or you're going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to never come to that. But it's hard to want something to actually be a zero.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to talk. And that's why it's important to get this message out and to have this conversation this evening is because somebody's thinking about it. Somebody's actually going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the rates, there's a person every few minutes taking their life in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of people, and it's too much.
It really is. It's one of those situations, man, that you don't know where you're at, and like I said, because we have social media in our hands now, we want to be like other people. We forget who we are.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that leads us to depression, that we don't matter, we don't fit in.
Yeah. Yeah, we took a little break.
Took a little break, got some pizza, got delivered.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes down to, like we were saying, man, it's crazy with social media how it wants to shape other people that are not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Kim Kardashians or I don't know what the popular things are now these days. You know, I don't have kids, but I know like a popular YouTubers like Mr. Beast. He's like one of the top ones.
Yeah, my kid loves that guy.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I've seen a few of his videos and like, cool, like he does cool things, but I'm like, you don't know what's going on in the background, you know?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we all have issues. We're all human.
Mm-hmm.
And like you told me last time, as long as you show up for yourself, that's the biggest step.
Yeah, that's like the big deal, you know? Like, people don't understand the things that add up to matter the most is, one, you gotta show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember telling you that I listen to podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Trent Shelton, Grant Cardone, Jay Shetty, and Gary Vee. Those are my 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Integration Connection is another one. I started listening to her podcast, and they're all good, you know. And Grant Cardone, you know, he had this one podcast that's just show up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you have people that win the lottery, guess what? They showed up.
Yeah.
You know, the people that got the job that maybe you wanted, they showed up. You know, but if you don't show up for yourself, nobody will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you know, there's no results. If you don't take chances, you know, you never know. So,
it's like people say that they want to win the lottery but never buy a ticket.
right.
You know what I mean? That's not how it works.
Right. So, you know, the people on Instagram, athletes, actors, models, business entrepreneurs, you know, people don't know the struggle. People don't know the reality of, you know, like Robin Williams, their depression, their anxiety, or maybe their mental health. You know, they only show you, you know, their trips, their cars, money.
Of course.
You know, one comes to mind is Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm. It's like an iceberg.
Yeah.
You just see what's above the water.
Yeah. You know, we all would like to have, and we all imagine, fantasize about, you know, the next level where we'd like to be. But many people don't put in the work to do it. And, you know, you just gotta show up. You gotta show up. You gotta show up for yourself, and you gotta take care of yourself mentally. You know, get good at what you what you fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta learn to appreciate what you have. You know, your life, your ability to do what you can do, and not worry about what you can't do, but just get better and just show up. And if you need to talk to somebody, talk to them. You know, we all have setbacks, like you said earlier, you know, and setbacks are part of life, you know. People are with you for the wrong reasons, you know, maybe because you can get them promoted, or maybe they use you for some sort of opportunity that you don't understand, you know, and it hurts. It really hurts. And sometimes we give priority and titles to people that don't deserve it, you know, like, oh, that's my brother, or that's like my sister, but they're not.
Yeah.
You know, they would not show up for you like you show up for them. But you showed up, and that's what's important. That's who you are, and that's okay. You know, and then you have people who, you know, want to see you fall, see you fail. I think we were talking about on break, you know. I actually had somebody not necessarily say, like, damn, wish you died, but you're still here. Like, they're surprised.
Wow.
You know, that was kind of eye-opening, too.
That's horrible, man. Like, there's no way, you know, we all have differences with people. You know, I'm not going to say everybody loves each other, you know. We all have differences with people, and I've had differences with people, and there's not a single person that I can think of, man, I wish that person wasn't here.
Yeah.
Because not only that, it makes me a horrible person. It puts a stain on my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it affects families. It affects everything, you know. And I'm not built like that. You know, and I know there's people out there that curse at people that they hate and be like, oh, I wish you would die. I wish this. And like, no, like, I'm not built like that, at least.
Yeah, like, I never wish, I never wish anybody any negativity whatsoever. I believe in karma.
100%.
And, if you manifest negativity, that's what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
If you manifest positive vibes, you're going to be positive most of the time, We're not perfect, but when that person, he said to me, you're still here, like, and it wasn't like, it's good to see you, like, you're still here. It was like, I can't believe you're fucking here. I was like,
wow.
I was like, I had to walk away.
I believe you, man, because I know you.
And, in my career, and growing up in school too, I'm very competitive. And sometimes when you're competitive, it's not like I was the competitor that was in your face, putting you down or looking at you in any negative way. Mm-hmm. Growing up with my dad and my coaches and, my mentors, it wasn't about being better than anybody else. It was about you being better yourself, competing with yourself, and have fun and compete. And, you want to be the best. You don't want to come second place to nobody. You should never think of yourself as a second option or that you don't matter. You always want to compete to do your best. And, I'm not talking about like if you get second place, you suck. I mean, you can get last place and not feel like you suck, but, you just got to go back.
You did your best.
You did what you could. And if you didn't do your best, then hold yourself accountable and get better at what you do, and, I may not have been the fastest guy in the track team or strongest guy in the wrestling team, but, or, even in Muay Thai, I may not have been the best student, but I eventually got to where I felt my best and where I was actually fast enough and where, my results helped the team, or work, coworkers, sales, I got really good at it, and being at the top, you find out it's really lonely. When you're successful, winning awards. I was never the type of leader that was like, oh yeah, I'm the best, but people like you got me there, and it's a team effort. And as a coach now, that's what I do. I help people succeed. And, especially now, it's more important than ever to take that coaching and what's going on with me and make that difference, not just in the workplace, but, around me.
Yeah.
Look for people that just say hi, how's it going? Just the fact that you can see people and hear people and laugh with people, talk to people, it's a miracle. What we take for granted, It
really is. And the crazy thing is, and when I'm out and about, I still have that retail mentality where I'm walking around and I still smile to people.
Yeah, got to. Build a 5-minute friend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because there's days that I think about it and I'm walking into the store and I'm like, man, I hope nobody walks up and asks me for $1. But then to think about it, I'm like, what if they do? What am I going to say? I'm not like, I'm a jerk, but I'm not going to get to a point and be like, yo, get away from me. Like,
right.
And it's crazy because there's times that I'm like, all right, I'm going to put a bad face so nobody approaches me, and it lasts for like maybe 2 minutes. Next thing I know, I'm like just jolly in the store, minding, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not who I am. Like, if I can smile at somebody, I don't know what that person's going through.
Yeah.
So, and it's so crazy, man. I want to say it was some soda commercial not so long ago, or a beer commercial, where, one person helped out another person, that person helped out another person, and it domino effects down to somebody else.
Yeah.
So if I can just smile at some person, maybe that's what that person needed. It's just a good hello or whatever,
Yeah, and could you imagine if you weren't here?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we talked about that movie just not too long ago? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you weren't here, like, who would stop to give that dollar? Who would stop to say hi, or that smile, or that pat on the back? You know, and it's not just because you have a good heart, you know, because you do, but those people would not have been either impacted or influenced in a positive way. And, you know, that's something that we have to take away from this conversation. Each and every one of us, it's our responsibility to look at that, not just for yourself, but for the people around you too. We all are an ecosystem of emotions and situations, and it's important to realize that it really is an honorable thing to be a really kind person, and it's not that hard.
It really isn't, man. It just takes one step, one smile, one hello, one text message, and I'm sure we can all do something better, man.
Yeah, you know, as a society, you talk about culture, but there's no culture where, at least right now, unless it's a foreign culture, where they actually put people first.
Yeah.
You know, they do exist, and there's good people around you, but we live on our phones.
It's true.
We hide behind makeup. We hide behind, you know, brand names. We hide behind popularity, likes, follows. But we don't step out of the shadow to say hi, to look up and look somebody in the eye with respect and say, how was your day today? You know? I do it on a daily basis, you know, if I'm walking in the mall or the store. You know, I see somebody, I'm like, hey, how's it going? How are you? They look at me like I'm weird.
Because it's not normal. You see what I mean? And that's the crazy thing. It's not normal for a stranger to say, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, or what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you say hi?
Yeah.
You know? Like when you drive a car, we have a horn. And the light turns green. But the lady in front of you or the guy in front of you is either eating something, drinking something, talking on the phone, texting on the phone, or putting on makeup. But the horn is to notify you, or at least make you aware something is going on. And we all got places to go.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how they flip you off.
Right?
Because how dare you honk at me? Well,
yeah.
I'm just being courteous, you know?
And it's not like you're like just holding it down. It's just a quick little beep.
Yeah, like not obnoxious, you know. Or you like today, I it was my turn to go coming off the freeway, green light. This guy, probably like 200 feet at the stop sign, made a right and into my lane. So I didn't want to hit him, of course, you know. And he just ran the stop sign, but I was in his lane, I would have been at fault, even though he made that poor decision. I get in the left lane with my blinker on, and he's just sitting there at the light trying to entice me and get me upset, and I'm just waving at him like, hey, have a great day, and he just goes, F you, buddy, and just drives off. So, I mean, we live in a world where people are just not happy.
Yeah.
You know? And I recently heard through a mutual family friend that, you know, the story of Buddha. There was a villager that went to Buddha and said, why are you always happy? And Buddha goes, well, I don't own what you give to me. I own what I do. And that really hit me. You know, it's like people every day, you know, have anger, depression, some type of disorderly thought, like angry, not happy. And, you know, sometimes they try to go out of their way, you know. But as we were talking earlier, you know, just by smiling, giving that dollar or saying hi that you do, you know, that could really make that person feel better.
Yeah.
You know, and if you do happen to come across somebody that's like, you know, not the nicest person, you know, just ask them, like, how they feel. And, you know, obviously they're telling you how they feel or showing you, but maybe it'll make a big deal. And you know, sometimes, depending on the thing, you just might want to walk away too. That's depending on the situation. Never get yourself in a situation that's bad, but you always got to show you care, and don't be afraid to tell people hi. It really makes a difference. And we're talking about mental health earlier. I think the more social we all become,
it'll get better.
It will get better.
See, and like with me, that's how I think about it. It's like we all have anger, and I say we because I've been driving and somebody cuts me off and I get upset.
For sure.
And I think about it, and every day, anytime that happens, I think of something that was told to me is if I'm driving and you cut me off, you had no clue you cut me off.
Right.
You could have just been distracted on the phone, whatever. You cut me off on the freeway. You're going to ruin my day, and you had no clue. You went on with your day. You went to work. You had a fun time at work, whatever. Now my day, I'm going to go to work upset. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be this all day, and I'm going to be in a negative attitude. And the other person had no clue that they ruined my day. And every time I think that, every time something like that happens where somebody cuts me off, that's the first thing that I think of. And I'm like, all right, why am I going to be upset? Just like the other night. I was on my way to one of my friend's house. The car in front, there was an accident on the freeway. The car in front of me slammed on the brakes about 10 car lengths before the accident. I got upset. I was like, yo, what's your problem? Like, why? And, I had to flicker my lights a few times for them to move, and I was like, maybe they're afraid. And kind of, I didn't push it all the way, but I'm like, I didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. What if they were just in a car accident not so long ago and they were going through some quote-unquote PTSD?
Yeah.
So that's, we all got to know the other side of the story, man, but I don't want to drag this too long. I appreciate you for coming on and telling us a story, man, and telling us what you went through. I love you. I see you as a friend, a brother, and a mentor. You've always been there for me, and I'm always going to be there for you. I do appreciate it. One last thing is if you can send a message out to somebody, to anybody, what would that be?
If you find yourself having thoughts or hurting and you don't have an outlet, you're not alone. Take 1 second, just take 1 minute to cry or breathe deeply in and out a few times, and then count down from 5 down to 1, and do that breathing as much as you can, in and out, like deeply, slowly. Clear your mind, and it will help you feel better, because you're not alone in what you're going through, even though you may be alone at that time dealing with it, but somewhere you have somebody that prays for you that you don't know, or wants to see you succeed, or looks forward to seeing you at work or the next reunion or get together, and you matter. So, that's my message. If you need help, get it, say something. We talked about the resources earlier. I'll give you the number for that National Suicide Prevention. But yeah, get help.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. All I can say is anybody who listens to this or watches this, thank you for sticking by, and I hope you get something out of it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Cool, man.